Alright, lesson 4. In lesson 4 we're reviewing multiplication and division, and this should be review for you. But we'll go through the steps and make sure that you're comfortable with them, and if you have questions we can go over them together in class. First problem we have, we're going to multiply. We've got 164 times 23. We have a problem like this, we always want to go ahead and set it up vertically, okay, rather than horizontally. Just going to make it easier for us to see which part of the problem we're working on. So as we know, we're first going to take the 3 from 23 and we're going to multiply it times the 4, then we're going to multiply it times the 6, then we're going to multiply it times the 1. So let's start off there. We know 4 times 3, that's going to give us 12. We're going to carry our 1. When we carry our 1, we've got 3 times 6 is 18 plus 1 is 19. We've got 9. We're going to carry that 1 again. We've got 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 more is going to give us 4. So we have 492. Then next we have to go over to the 2 in the tens place and multiply it times the 4, the 6, and the 1. So let's do that now. We know we have a placeholder to begin with because we haven't used the ones digit. Then we've got 2 times 4, which is going to give us 8. We've got 2 times 6, which is going to give us 12. We've got a 1 that we need to carry, so we've already carried it here. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more is going to give us 3. So we can record that 3. And then we can add everything together in the end to find out what our product is going to be, the answer to our multiplication problem. So we've got 2 plus 0, that's 2. We've got 9 plus 8 is going to give us 17. We're going to carry that 1. We've got 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 2 more is going to give us 7. And then we've got our 3 in the thousands spot. So we've got an answer of 3,772. Hey, if you've got questions on that, please be sure to follow along carefully with problem B. Alright, let's go ahead now and work on problem B. Problem B, we've got $5.79 times 29. So we're going to start with 9 times 9. That's going to give us 81. We're going to carry the 8. Now we have 9 times 7, which is 63. And 63 plus 8 is going to give us 71. We carry that 7. And 9 times 5, which is 45. And 45 plus 7 is going to give us 52. So then we move on. We've got a placeholder 0. We've got our 2 times 9 now, which is going to give us 18. We're going to carry a 1, so we'll scratch out that 8. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 gives us 15. And we've got a 1 again, so we'll scratch out that 7. We've got 2 times 5, which is 10, plus 1 more is going to give us 11. So we can now go through, we can add everything together to get our final answer. We'll work from the right to the left. We've got a 1, we've got a 9, we've got a 7, and we've got 5 plus 1, that's going to give us 6, and we've got 1 by itself. So we get a final answer of 16,791. But you need to look at that because we have a decimal. And remember our rule when we're multiplying with decimals. We have to move the decimal point over to the end 2 times. So in our answer, we're going to have to move it back 2 times. So we get $167.91. We'd want to go ahead and rewrite our answer as money, $167.91, and we're all done. Nice work on that one. Whenever we're working with multiplication, we've got some key vocabulary. Our first one is factors, and factors are what we multiply together. So if we were multiplying 9 times 3, 9 and 3 would be the factors, what we multiply, or numbers that we multiply. So an example we'll write up at the end after we have the definition for product. If factors are what we multiply, then the product must be the answer for our multiplication problem, or answer to a multiplication problem. And we'll look at a simple one to put these words into a math problem. Let's say we have 9 times 3. 9 times 3 is 27. So 9 and 3 must be the factors, and 27 must be the product. So if we look at that, factors, what we multiply the 9, we multiply the 3, those are the factors, and the product, well, the product is the answer. So the product of 9 and 3 would have to be 27. Now, we looked at inverse operations in the last lesson, and we know the inverse of addition is subtraction, so the inverse of multiplication must be division. And the first problem that we have to divide is $13.70 divided by 5. And this looks like a fraction, and a fraction is just another way to express a division problem. So we're going to write this out, 1370 divided by 5. Okay, so we got to figure out how many times 5 goes into 1. It goes in 0. 5 goes into 13 2 times, so we're going to write our 2 up top. We've got 5 times 2 is 10, so we've got 3 left over when we subtract. Remember to bring your decimal point straight up. We'll do that now, so it's a good point in the process. We're going to drop down our 7. The 7 comes straight down, and we get 37. Now we have to figure out how many times 5 goes into 37. It goes in 7 times, because 7 times 5 is 35. We've got 2 left over after we subtract. We bring down the 2, or the 0, bring down the 0, and we've got 20. 5 goes into 20 exactly 4 times, because 5 times 4 is 20. So we've got 20. We subtract. We have no remainder. So we've got 2 and 74 hundredths, or since we have money, we're going to have $2.74 as our final answer. And we're all done with that first problem. Problem B. We've got 2,183 divided by 47. So we're going to do the same thing. 2,183 divided by 47. This one's a little bit more challenging because we have a bigger number that we're dividing into 2,183. And if we look at this problem, well, we've got to figure out 47 can never go into 2. 47 can't go into 21. But 47 can go into 218. What we have to do is figure out how many times it can go in. Well, this might require some trial and error. Let's go ahead, let's start with the number, let's start with 4. Let's just give that one a try. 47 times 4 to see what that is equal to. So 7 times 4 is 28. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 2 more is 18. We get 188. It's a little low. Let's make sure 47 times 5 is not the right answer. So 47 times 5, well, 7 times 5 is 35. We've got 5 times 4, that's 20, plus 3 more is 23. That's 235. That's too big. So our answer, or for our first part of the problem, must be a 4. And we know 47 times 4 is equal to 188. Then we've got to do our subtraction. 8 minus 8 is 0. We'll borrow from the 2 to get a 1. We've got 11. 11 minus 8 is 3. And 1 minus 1 is 0, so we've got 30. Drop down the 3. So we need to figure out now how many times 47 goes into 303. We've done part of our work already because we know that 47 times 5 is 235. That's too small. So let's go ahead and let's add another one. Let's go up 1. Let's say 47 times 6. 47 times 6, 7 times 6 is 42. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 4 more is going to give us 28. So we've got 282. Now, I know 282 plus 47 is going to have to be way bigger than 303. So our answer is going to be a 6. So we've got a 6 in our 1 spot over here, and we've got 282. We can do our subtraction. 3 minus 2 is 1. Borrow from the 3 to get a 2. We've got 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0, so we've got 21 left over. Now the way we can report our answer, and there's several different ways, we're going to start with a remainder. 46, remainder, 21. And we'll report our answers in this lesson only with remainders, if you know any other different ways. Now when we're doing division, we've got some keywords as well. Dividend, divisor, and quotient. Okay? These are set up very nicely, just like our multiplication ones, because the dividend and divisor are what you're dividing, okay, those two numbers, and the quotient is the answer to a division problem. Answer to a division problem. Make sure you're getting the key vocabulary written down. Dividend and divisor, we're going to use a picture here. Let's say we have 10 divided by 2. 10 divided by 2. Now, 10 divided by 2, if we want to look at which one's the dividend and which one's the divisor, the dividend is what we're dividing, the 10. The divisor is how we're dividing it, or what we're dividing it by. So the 10 is a dividend, the 2 is a divisor. Now if we looked at a problem in a slightly different way, let's say we had 15 over 3, which is really just saying 15 divided by 3. Which one's our dividend? Which one's our divisor? Take a moment to answer that question. Well, the dividend must be 15, it's what we're dividing, and the divisor must be 3, it's what we're dividing it into, how many different parts. Alright, next part of the lesson is looking at finding missing numbers using multiplication and division. So 12 times n is equal to 168. We need some number times 12 to get us to 168. Now, right off the top of my head, knowing from multiplication tables, I know 12 times 12, and 12 times 12 is 144. So what that means, it means that our answer must be a little bit bigger than 12, because we multiply 12 times 12. We don't quite get to 168. Now when we do this, we could say 12 times 13, and 12 times 13 is just 144 plus 12 more, so that must be 156. And then we could say 12 times 14 must be 12 more than 156, which would be 168. So our answer, n must be equal to 14. There's another way we can do this rather than just using guess and check. The other way that we could do this would be to use the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So we're going to divide 168 divided by 12. 12 goes into 16 one time. We've got 12 with 48 left over. 12 goes into 48. Well, 12 goes into 48 4 times. We've got 48 with 0 left over. So we've got our final answer. Final answer was exactly what we saw earlier, an answer of 14. So n has to be equal to 14. We know it's right because 12 times 14 is equal to 168. Our next two problems, we've got to find some missing numbers. If we find missing numbers here, 64 divided by a is equal to 4. We've got to have some number divided by 64 that's going to give us 4. 64 divided by that number equals 4. So if we said, let's say we're going to get a baseline for what it might be, 64 over 2. 64 over 2 is 32. That's too big. If that's too big, that means this must be too small, because we're working with division. The way we're going to find our answer most efficiently in this problem is to use division. Now notice we are not using the inverse operation this time. Why don't you think we're using the inverse operation? Well, we're not using the inverse operation because if we multiplied 64 times 4, it would give us a really big number, bigger than 64, 4 times bigger to be exact, and we don't want something that big. So we're going to divide to find our answer. Now this one, we've got it set up as a fraction, so let's just reduce it. So we get 32 over 2, and we cut them both in half. Then we get 16 over 1. So we know 16 over 1 is just 16. So our answer must be a is equal to 16. And we're correct because 64 divided by 16 is equal to 4. Now our next problem we have b divided by 3 is equal to 15. If we have b divided by 3 is equal to 16, we need some number that's going to be bigger than 15. It's got to be bigger than 15 because that's what each group would have if we broke the groups that we started with into 3 parts. So if we have something divided by 3 is equal to 15, our answer for b has to be bigger than 3. It also has to be bigger than 15. So we're going to use the inverse operation this time. 15 times 3. We could skip count 15, 30, 45. We've got our answer of 45. So b must be equal to 45. And we know that's right because if we take 45, cut it into 3 equal parts, we get 15 in each part. Alright, we'll work on the lesson practice together in class. Nice work today, and I'll see you in class soon.